Hello, my name is Chris Parham, and this is my final presentation for the Dynamic Media Institute Design Studio One here at the Mass College of Art for 2020 for fall 2021. And I would like to first start off my projects by starting off talking about the steps that I took with my projects in terms of the transition that I made, the transitions that I made in terms of what was working and what wasn't working for me personally. So we're going to start off with my pillars of my three pillars, which are user engagement, originality, and integrity. So for instance, this project is something that I did at the Harvard Extension School, as a matter of fact, dealing with what we're doing right now. And it's a final project presentation for Designing for Education class at the Harvard Extension School. And as you can see, this was a website that I did at the school. And this is, of course, a part of our current project that we're working on right now. In terms of this project that you're looking at, we're looking at examples of design, of user experiences, basically, in websites. So, for instance, we've got a thing that we can go to right there, YouTube link. And we also have another YouTube link as well for the Harvard Extension School. And the same thing here where we have a video link. My short film for A Love Supreme, The Spiritual Journey of John Coltrane, a website featuring Alice Coltrane, his wife. And this, like I say, is the project that we got first with Design Studio, dealing with looking for elements and design user experience. So I just decided to put in some examples of the work that I was doing at the Harvard Extension School. And this, for instance, is an ad from Pentagram, a very large advertising agency. And these were the things that we were looking for in terms of what do we see on websites that excites us? What do we see on websites that engages us as well? And that to me is very, very important as a designer and as a web designer especially. And this is a creative agency in New York City. And this, like when you look at the website, it's really, really interesting how this website works. So if you ever get a chance, you should take a look at it. And this is from Beautifully Broken, which is a place that you come to learn, support, and join for young women. And again, this is an example of us looking for user sites, experiences, user experience, and links, and how to engage ourselves into certain projects that we're working on. And this was my observation exercise that I did over at the Currier House at Harvard University for the Dynamic Media Institute. And this was an observation exercise to see how people interact, especially during COVID, and how people go in and out of doors, for instance, how they interact with each other. This was at the beginning, right before school ended, as a matter of fact. And as you can see at the front entrance of Currier, is fully vaccinated at Harvard. And as you can see to your right, the doors are always clean, the handles are always cleaned. People wear masks, they stay away from each other, they do social distancing. Not everybody, of course, but this was, I believe, before the vaccine came through. But then it was actually during the time, and right before everybody left school, that is. And so this project, I had to do some sketches as well. And as you can see, I did sketches of all the people, the students that are standing there as well. And since this is a slide, I tried not to make it too text heavy, in terms of like way too much text and not enough images. So I really like the way that I did these illustrations, and also using the COVID as a kind of a symbol of what's going on, basically. So this was my project, again, fully vaccinated at Harvard, where I'm talking about vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and so on, and just giving some statistics on what's going on with the virus, especially among college students at Harvard, for instance. And this project was a lot of fun because I worked there at Harvard. So like when you see a sign, when you see something that says 97% of people entering hospitals for COVID-19 are unvaccinated, that's a real number. And Harvard is like on top of that. And it's like people really need to get vaccinated, but the statistics are already there. So, what are the chances of getting COVID-19 at the age of 19 and ending up in a hospital room instead of a classroom at Harvard? Chances are real good if the hospital stay instead of a classroom if you're not fully vaccinated. So, it's best to get vaccinated as soon as possible. And that's what I was trying to stress basically with this project. And here, what we're looking at is we're looking at a bunch of different things dealing with how many kids wash their hands for 20 seconds, who does, who doesn't, how many people wear masks all the time, who's fully vaccinated, who's tested every week. So I tried to put together this thing where I was talking basically about how these things are things that students should be doing every single day, but not everybody is doing it, obviously. But it was important for me to just kind of put together this roadmap of basically how the disease is transmissible, how kids can stay safe at Courier and at Forsheimer as well as Cabot House, which are all in the quad basically. So this project was a lot of fun. So in conclusion, I say get tested and get the vaccine. And this is an example of our very first project. This is my first example, first tryout for You Are Here Now. And what you're looking at the top up here are symbols of empathy around the world that I wanted to use as a project. And this was just something that I was thinking about doing. So you are here now in the ER ICU. So I kind of like basically put it out there to people, say, this is where you could be and this is where you shouldn't be right now. So for instance, a Zoom meeting with fellow artists is what people are doing. You are here now, you know. Um, and this was a lot of fun because it's just something that we've become so used to as well. You are here now getting a COVID test. You are here now among the unvaccinated, which is not a good idea. Um, you are here now fully vaccinated on vacation. So again, this was my first idea for this particular project. But then I switched up to another idea and using, for instance, at the top, what you're looking at is you're seeing the word for empathy in different languages here, you know, right up there. And also these symbols as well that are going as well down here. And again, like I said, this is all the word empathy in different languages, but at the top, it's you are here now in that specific language. So this was an idea that I was talking about in terms of doing this outreach to people around the world and speaking in their language, which I felt was very, very important. So that and also that sympathie is means empathy in Haitian Creole. And these are all the things that you could get to in terms of help, you know, getting information about COVID and so on. And the same thing with this one as well. Este aquí ahora, that's in Spanish. And this is my final choice, the final project I came up with, Joyce's Choices. Joyce's Choices, COVID-19 anxiety and its effect on Black women's health. And Joyce is a single Haitian American mom living in Boston with her two kids, and she's been laid off since the beginning of the pandemic, and she has severe COVID-19 anxiety, and she needs coping mechanisms to deal with the fact she needs to go back to work, but is afraid to. So this is just a case study of someone who is going through this in terms of COVID-19, what she has to deal with, and this ended up being my final idea. I really like this idea a lot. And what you're looking at here is she is going to need mental help. So what she's going to be doing, she's going to be going to a community center where they're going to be helping people who have COVID-19 anxiety. And also she'll be able to speak to doctors. She'll be able to set up appointments. She'll be able to do job searches as well. And that was the key with this particular project. I really wanted it to be a community-based thing. And the same thing with her seeing a therapist as well. And there was like a lot of outreach involved in terms of her trying to reach out and find out what kind of help can she get for her COVID-19 anxiety. And also here she's able to do a mental health survey. Have you felt nervous? Do you feel depressed? Have you felt lonely, uninterested? All these different things. And what's good about this is that she's able to get the help that she needs when she needs it. And also on her schedule as well, because again, one of her children is on the autism spectrum, and her kids, of course, are homeschooled until they go back, you know. And by now, obviously, she's already gotten her vaccine and so on. And this is where you can sign up for COVID-19 testing. You can just click it on your phone right there, and it's automatic. And I really wanted this to be an experience for her where she is able to get to where she needs to get to and ease her anxiety as well, because it's been a real issue for her trying to get through the day with this heavy dose of anxiety, because Black women's health has been affected very worse than everyone else when it comes to COVID-19. And this is about the About Us page as well for the desktop. And Community Center is located in Dorchester, where I grew up, of Boston. And it's a really good resource for her because this is what she really needed for herself and her progress. And the same thing with wellness as well. And what her son has is a student remote learning sentiment survey where he gets to talk about whether or not, how it's affected him, how it's affected his health, how it's affected his mental health, especially doing remote learning. And upcoming workshops on COVID-19 anxiety effects on Black women's health. She can sign up for something that's happening, event registration. She can sign up. She can find out through their website what's going on, what events are happening, and so on. So that was really, really important that she gets the help that she needs when she needs it. And as of now, Joyce is seeing her therapist weekly and is dealing with her COVID-19 anxiety one day at a time. And her children are learning remotely, and she is job searching for a new career in accounting. This was a great project. It was a lot of fun. And this is my visual case study for the Dynamic Range project, where my workshop will deal with poster design of a singer or a group and the cause they represent, and a poster in black and white and one in color with one typeface, two colors. And here are my classmates' poster designs based on their favorite singer or group, but also a cause that the designer believes in and supports as well. And we had a great time with this project, by the way. So for instance, this is Anisha Ghosh. She's talking about this rapper in India who talks about listening to the voice of the slums. Great project, great design that Anisha did. And this is by my teacher Fish, talking about Prince and how he dedicated his life to speaking out against injustice, advocating for the Black excellence, and spreading the message of love for one another. And this was a lot of fun. I can tell Fish had a great time with this project. And Simone Schwartz did this poster concerning Lin-Manuel Miranda, who did Hamilton and In the Heights. And she really enjoyed herself when she went to see it, because she felt, that her story was being told. That's why I love the idea of tell our stories. That's very, very interesting to me. And this is by Scott Murray. And what I did was I told the people in this to put in a quote of the artist that you really like, in terms of you finding something, a cause that they believe in, and a cause that you can relate to concerning them, and why their music affects you the way that it does. And this is Freddie Mercury by Andrew Adamize. And he says Freddie Mercury's one of his favorite quotes was, "I will be a legend," and share your life with somebody. Rest in peace, Freddie Mercury. And this is by my teacher, Ravi Jain, who did Frank Zappa and Laurie Spiegel as well. And I told all of them to put in quotes to kind of speak, to put in quotes to speak to what it is that they're talking about, why this particular thing or this cause is so important to them, and what it means. Like, for instance, that's like U2, they heavily advocate for the climate change, So that would be one person as well. But these are the two for Ravi. And this is Drew Thomas's poster designs for Michael Jackson. And those are the quotes that he had. "I'm tired of being a victim of hate. I'm not going to spend my life being a color." This is really, really interesting. And these are my posters that I did for the project, for the Dynamic Range project. And my project, again, dealt with artists, especially jazz musicians, and the causes that they dealt with during their time, like for instance with Billie Holiday and Strange Fruit, which didn't ruin her career, but it ruined her career. But she was proud to sing it every time, every place she went, but she just eventually got shut down big time. And then, of course, there's John Coltrane. And my poster design dealt with the 1963 bombing of the Baptist Church in Birmingham. And that was a cause that he was talking a lot about in his music. And of course, there's Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, the best-selling jazz album in the country. And the picture that you're seeing above that is the Little Rock Nine. So that's how I kind of compared social justice issues with what was going on with the musicians and the artists and what they were doing. And the future of poster design, 2020. This is my project that we had to do to basically talk about what is the future of poster design. What is the future of, where's poster design going to be a generation from now? How will people communicate? Will people be using holograms to use for poster designs? Are they going to be using different types of ways to communicate both on the internet and also on the internet, but also how these things will apply to their phones and apply to all the other things that they're talking about. So for me, this past year has been a real challenging one just because of the skill that I brought to this class, but also the class itself being a challenge for me on a personal level, just because the work that we have been doing has been great. And also, too, just like with these posters that I decided to do, I wanted to kind of combine a social justice message with what's going on today. And that's one of the reasons why I told the students in my class that I did the workshop with, was to pick one of their favorite singers and pick a cause that their singer is really passionate about and combine that in a black and white poster and then in a color poster as well. And they did a really, really good job in terms of trying to show causes that they believe in, but especially right now with everything that's going on in terms of social justice, the causes are just even greater now, more than they ever were. So that was the fun part of this past semester for me in terms of all of my projects. And I found myself just kind of going from one phase to the other in terms of what I felt I needed to do and what is going to help my growth as a designer and as a creative thinker. And again, this is my final project. And as you can see with John Coltrane, I decided I wanted to use these different elements down here in terms of what was going on with the church that blew up, and how it affected him when he did, for instance, when he did the song Alabama. That was a real touching point for him because he was right in the middle of the civil rights movement, as they all were. So it was just very important for me to to display that and to show that in terms of what John Coltrane and what a lot of artists back then had to deal with in terms of, especially being black artists. They had to deal with a lot of stuff, in terms of their art and also what they were trying to do as well. So again, I wanted to say thank you very much for the opportunity to present my final work for this past semester for Fish's class, Fish and Robbie's class, that is, our design studio class. And I want to say thank you very much. And I really appreciate your time. And please, when you get a chance, take a look at these websites. When you take a look at the actual pieces that I sent in, and you'll be able to mess with it in terms of going to specific sites on the web and so on. Again, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.